What's up, our good people of the internet? This is a wake-up call with Dan Tortora special. It is entitled Tortora and Alford because, of course, I'm Dan Tortora and this is
Isaac Alford.
And we're hanging out with you in our coverage of Syracuse Orange athletics. We bring you Tortora and Alford every single year, and Isaac and I have the opportunity to break things down for you. Of course, you could find Wake Up Call 24/7 on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT. I still think every time that you log into X, it should be a DMX thing.
What?
Yeah. I feel like I feel like every time you log in, it's like you type in your name, your password, and then you click log in, and then it goes, X gonna give it to you every single time. I just need it. Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And for those of you that have X's, you know that they don't all give it to you. So it's a song for another day.
Exactly.
So yeah, Isaac's like, I ain't going there. His response was, So we're happy to be here with you. We are on all the same channels that you'll find Wake Up Call Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both / Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com for internet streaming radio. This is worldwide. This is Tortora and Alford on Wake Up Call, and we are here with you to speak on Syracuse Orange football in general, to also take a look around the country at the state of college football, and we're going to get into the upcoming game for Army at Syracuse. So first and foremost, when I say Syracuse, you say
Orange.
I love when there's people when they're like, all right, let's do the test. And they're like, when I say Syracuse, you say, and they're like, soap dispenser, and you're like, in what world? You know, it would make more sense to go, when I say dome, you say trough, because because we're all like cattle when we pee in the dome. I gotta say this, they've done a lot of upgrades to the dome, but we're all still peeing like a herd of cattle.
I think there's a lot of fans that are into that type of stuff too, but hey, to each his own, you know.
You need to be into that away from me.
Exactly.
You can be into that on your own time. Take that somewhere else. You know? Because I feel like when you're at the trough, you're just standing there and you're just waiting for someone to go,
You see where I go. I don't go nowhere near
I go right in the stall.
Exactly.
Isaac and I will literally go in there when everybody's gone and pick our own stall when it's empty.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, I'm going in the stall. Get away from me. Don't do that. Don't come over here, try to talk to me. Hey, Dan, so what do you think the line is on the game? I think you need to stop looking at me in the bathroom, right?
Step back.
Yeah.
Get back.
But they say Brett Favre had somebody do that. He was in the bathroom and people were asking for autographs.
Well, I can imagine that happened.
And I was just like, you know. I mean, I understand. You don't know if you're ever going to see Brett Favre again, but just wait till he comes out.
It's a time and place,
right?
Yeah.
Wait until he gets out of the bathroom.
Exactly. Yeah.
Give him a little bit of time, right? Give the man a little bit of time. Act like you're one of the offensive linemen and give him some time. That's all I ask. So when I say Syracuse at 3-0, you say what?
On schedule, right where they need to be. I think that was an important game last week. You know, a lot of the talk was there, who have they played so far this year?
Yeah.
You know, then going into that game, you know, I did feel some kind of way. I was like, man, you know, they did come to our house last year. We got them at the last second. So, you know, they're going to be ready for Syracuse.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was kind of reviewing it, too, before the game, looking at the quarterback card from Texas. And I was like, oh, Jesus, we had O'Connell was enough. Yeah. You got the card kid from Texas. And
you're wondering what he's going to do.
Exactly. So you never know. But, you know, Syracuse handled it well. You know, like I said, you know, the defense is, like I keep saying, it's as advertised. You know, they had an outstanding game. I mean, the amount of turnovers. And coming into that game, I think I mentioned last week that Purdue was kind of boasting about how well they took care of the ball up until that game. You know, no turnovers. And I think it could have had at least about 7 turnovers by the time that game was done. And,
yeah. Well, you think about it, there was 4 turnovers, plus there was 2 turnover on downs, and then there was 2 fumbles that were called not fumbles.
Exactly.
So technically, there would have been 6 turns plus 2 turnover on downs. So if you want to call those as ending of the drives as well, then that would have been 8. But there was 6 in a game.
Yeah.
4 turnovers. And, I mean, you think about it. Hudson Card, their quarterback, fumbled 3 times. And the Alabama quarterbacks are like, dude, look at him. Like, I know we're struggling, but, like, he fumbled the ball and he gets to be the starter still.
Exactly.
Alabama's about to go to the transfer portal and really show us what free agency looks like.
What do you mean we can't do it now? The portal's not closed?
Yeah, I was going to be like, yeah, well, you mean we can't go to the portal right now? But there's a ton of kids in the portal. Don't you think they need an education? Why would you take an education from these poor kids?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to be chirping some type of news because, I mean, for goodness sakes, you got 3 quarterbacks in Alabama and they can't figure out who your quarterback is? Guess what? I'm going to tell you something that you didn't want to. I'm going to tell you something you probably would have never believed me saying, but none of you can prove me wrong with facts. Syracuse's quarterback situation is better than Alabama's.
Totally, 100%. You know, and we got 3 SEC quarterbacks on the team. How about that?
Yeah, how about that? Thank you, transfer portal free agency.
You know, Alabama was sleeping on the portal.
Yeah, Alabama was asleep. Syracuse was like,
We want him. We want him.
We're gonna take some Braden Davis.
Exactly.
We're gonna take this guy. We're out here Christmas shopping. But I mean, listen, the portal is one of those things where it's a pain in the butt, but it also can be your best friend.
Yeah.
Typically, it's both.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because you get to the end of the season, you're like, oh Jesus.
It's your really hot girlfriend that also cheats on you.
He's like, please don't. Yeah. Sometimes you're like, go, just leave.
Yeah. What did they say? One of the songs they said, I'm trying to remember the comedian that said it. He's like, if anyone remembers that really great Beyonce hit that she wrote called "Please Just Stop Cheating on Me." But it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fun here on the show, as you can tell, but it's true. Syracuse's quarterback situation is better than Alabama's, and it's better than a lot of teams in a lot of ways this season. I mean, Garrett Schrader, who I want to go on record, I think it is, that I have supported Garrett Schrader. I never said he couldn't throw, and I've been a fan of his because he works hard, he's a leader, he grows as a person, he carries himself as a professional, and I think that he's commanded that role and earned the role of being a leader on the team. So, not that anybody needs to hear it if you check the tape, but I like to remind people that there's one place where Garrett Schrader wasn't dogged, and that's Tortora and Alford, and on Wake Up Call.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one thing I tell you coming into the season is, like, I always feel comfortable when you got a quarterback that's been in the system, and, you're not starting over from scratch. You're not trying to see, does he have it? Some guys look good on paper, but you got to get in the game and really see what it's all about. Some guys might look good in practice, but hey, you hear good reports from practice. But
are you talking about practice?
Yeah, we're talking about practice now. But you need to see it in the game, man. And Schrader goes out there and he proves it on game day. I mean, and yeah, he may take one too many hit, that we would like to say, all right, get rid of that ball or, get down on the ground. But I think he gets into that. That gets him into the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, until he get that first contact, then the game kind of starts flowing for him, I mean,
some quarterbacks like that first hit. It's like, boom, get it out of the way. The guys that don't mind contact. My thing with Schrader is flipping over and landing last season literally on his head like he was doing a headstand, and then right before halftime where he didn't need to run and take this, and he flipped again. That's where I would say, if I'm Dino, I'd be like, listen, I know you're a dog. I respect you. Dino went through that with Dungy. I'd be like, listen, we love you. We appreciate you. We need you to stay healthy. Because, somebody brought it up, one of the commentators, and I commend them for this. He said Schrader was a different guy in the first half of the season than he was in the second half. And you have to remember, he got some hard hits that affected that. It's not like Garrett Schrader went from good quarterback to not so good. He went from good quarterback to his bell got rung and he got put in some not good situations. And, I mean, people forget that these are human beings that are playing the game and they take these hits and you want him to get back up and be fine. I mean, Schrader doesn't have to have a concussion, or anybody have to have a concussion on paper for them to be in a state of, that hit I took in week 4, I wasn't the same. I mean, Joe Girardi even said it when he had COVID. He was like, it took him weeks to feel like he could just be normal, to breathe again. So, you know, it's like there's things that happen to these guys' bodies and these women's bodies out there that it may not look bad, but just because they're not on the injury report doesn't mean they're not injured. And in Schrader's case, when he got hit a couple times last season, he's a human being. Your body can only withstand so much, and his head was put in some crazy situations.
Not only that, I think he always talked about his legs too. He didn't run the ball in the second half of the season the way he ran it.
Yeah, you could tell his feet were he was just different in the pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
He waited longer. He didn't move as fast. And it's not because he wasn't good. It was because his body was hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say.
And you said you hit the nail right on the head, because coming into the season, that's the best most players going to feel coming into camp. You know, once camp starts, I mean, those guys going to bang and beat up their bodies, and you get into the season, and it's just going to be constant game training room, trying to stay healthy and take care of their bodies. So it's a violent game. I mean, and like Dino says, this is the only game where you get to hit the star player. You know, this ain't basketball, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
In basketball, they just...
Exactly.
Wait, hold on. In basketball,
Take
like
the charge.
We did again. But I'm a big you and I are big on music. And I feel like as we go through the show, we're always creating soundtracks for players and instances.
Okay.
So I got one for Schrader. It's from NERD. It's the get down. It's just let's just get down.
Words of advice.
Yeah. Because I love, listen, and he knows it. I would hope that he knows it after all these years. Schrader, I love the dog in you. I love your fight. I love the way you play the game. And there are moments where I want you out of bounds and I want you to slide because I care way too much about your health. I'm the same way with Dungy. Like, I'm really close with his family, and I would watch games, and his mom would watch games, and I felt like I was sitting here like her going like, okay, great move. Get down on the ground. So, you know, I mean, Schrader's he's awesome, but my thing is I want a full season of Schrader.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I feel like this team right now, this season, with a full season of Schrader, is not a bowl team. They're a good bowl team. I think this team, and I'm going to say it right here today, in the state of the ACC, I think that there is a realistic opportunity that Syracuse could play in the ACC championship, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Right now, from what I've seen.
Knock on wood, all health. You know, I completely agree with that statement. I mean, like I say, experience on the team. You got a defense that can hold an offense down and get the ball back to your offense. And like you said, that's going to be one of the keys. You know, we lost OG, unfortunately, and now
successful surgery.
Yep. And the next man up, you know, is going to have to take his place and be productive. But look at the 10-win season we had with Dungy. We was able to, you know, for the most part, he had to sit out 1 or 2 games that season. Again, it's football, but when you have a healthy quarterback, you see the results that they get, you know. And I totally agree with this team here, too. Garrett's he's one of the keys to the team. I mean, you know, if we can keep him upright, you know. And what's one of my pet peeves of what I hate, though, is, man, Garrett's a big guy, man. Like, everybody talks about it. You hear the guys on the broadcast be like, oh, you don't realize how big he is until you get on the field pregame and you go walking around and you shake his hand or something. Yeah. So when you talk about sliding, what I hate is when you see him slide and then there's a guy come take a cheap shot while he's sliding.
And how many times last season did guys go after his head when he was on the ground?
Exactly.
He would slide and you'd see a guy fly across the screen right by Schrader's helmet. Because here's the thing, folks, and you may not want to believe this. When they know who your good players are, some players, some coaches, some players and coaches, I'm not going to say who did what or didn't do what, but the reality of somebody going, hey, maim that guy, get him the hell out the game.
Yeah.
Hey, first quarter, knock him out, get him out the game. Let's see them beat us without this guy or that guy. And Schrader's one of those guys where, I mean, people were chirping at him last year. He'd go to get out of bounds and people are getting in his face, and I give him credit. He's the quarterback, and normally they treat quarterbacks like, oh, kid gloves, can't touch him. He went in to guys last year that were in his face.
Oh yeah.
He went into them, right at them. And he did not shy away from conversating. And I also want to give credit to the offensive line because you can tell that there's respect on a team when people go after Schrader. And we saw it last year. Go check the tape on that. Mm-hmm. The O-line went up to these guys like, hey, you want our man? You're going to have to kill us.
Yeah.
And I respect, like, that to me shows you, because sometimes the O-line is just doing their job and sometimes they love that guy.
Yeah, that's definitely a no-no. You can't take no cheap shots at the quarterback and not have those guys on the offensive line stick up for him. I don't care. I don't think it's even just a quarterback. Any player, they protecting or creating running lanes like running backs and stuff like that. But it's true. I mean, teams will do that game plan. Not to say they intentionally, but if they get a shot, there's guys out there that are going to try to take him out or whatever. But again, like I said, he's a big guy, so sometimes he'll deliver the blow himself.
And I think, like Dungy, he enjoys it.
Yeah, exactly.
He definitely enjoys it. We're here inside of Tortora and Alford on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Of course, Wake Up Call is every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Tortora and Alford comes to you during football and basketball season. Happy to send some love out to everybody wherever you're at, all around the country and the world. Michael said, hello, Dan. We're hoping for a win Saturday. This isn't about Syracuse, but what are your thoughts on who should be the next coach at Michigan State? And then Syracuse could be undefeated going into the showdown with Clemson. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I always take game by game.
Yeah.
And it's not coach speak. You respect your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Like Isaac said. Here's a crazy thing. I don't think anybody thought Mel Tucker was going to stick as the coach. I feel like they thought Mel Tucker at Michigan State was like a placeholder.
Right.
Like he's going to be there and they're going to find somebody else. Mel Tucker actually had a connection back to Jacksonville in his time. But, asking the question about Mel Tucker, so I don't know if you have any thoughts about this, but the Mel Tucker situation, just to give some people some background here, he received notice on Monday of this week, so September 18th, that they intend to fire him for cause from Michigan State in the wake of an ongoing sexual harassment investigation. Tucker is accused of harassing rape survivor and activist Brenda Tracy, who had previously spoken to Tucker's team. On Tuesday, Tucker released a lengthy statement responding to the notice where he argued that, quote, other motives are at play, end quote, in the school's decision. And he claims that Michigan State, quote, ignored its own policies in pushing a biased investigation, end quote, into the claims of harassment. He said in a statement, quote, let's be clear, I don't believe Michigan State plans to fire me because I admitted to entirely consensual private relationship with another adult who gave one presentation at Michigan State at my behest over 2 years ago, end quote. So now Tucker proceeds to claim that Michigan State had knowledge of the information on a quote on which it supposedly relies to end my contract since at least March 2023, end quote, and that only the public revealing of the school's investigation prompted action for termination. And he argues that the school denied him due process by terminating him weeks before a scheduled hearing in the case, which is supposed to be October 5th, pointing out a, quote, about face from the athletic director, Alan Haller, who initially claimed Tucker's indefinite suspension was a quote-unquote interim measure. So, I mean, he was placed on administrative leave without pay on September 10th, shortly after the allegation became public. And the school argued that the termination notice that the Monday's termination notice that the coach's, quote, unprofessional and unethical behavior, end quote, violated the, quote, moral turpitude, unquote, clause of his contract, and that his admission of certain actions involving Tracy brought, quote, public disrespect, contempt, and ridicule upon the university, end quote. So, in firing for cause, Michigan State does not have to pay him more than $79 million that's remaining on his contract, a deal that was signed in November of 2021 in the midst of an 11-win outing there and a Peach Bowl win. So last season, the team went 5-7. Just it's interesting here. Everything that's going. Tracy's complaint against Tucker includes allegations of unwelcome advances, including some stuff I'm not going to read on the air. Tucker admitted to stuff, but claimed it was part of a consensual, personal relationship. Either way, this stuff spilling out into the public is really just, again, and it's how small the sports world is. I interviewed Mel Tucker within these last couple of years. I was happy for him and surprised that Michigan State had kept him because I just didn't think they were going to. It had nothing to do with him.
Right.
And now we're sitting here talking about this, and it brings me into other instances, and I'm not going to compare him to anybody publicly because some of the people that I would compare the situations to would regard him as guilty. And there's supposed to be due process, guilty until proven innocent for men and women, right? A woman's not always innocent. She's not always guilty. A man's not always innocent. They're not always guilty. In today's America, any man that's accused of anything is guilty. and that's something that's vastly wrong. I'm not saying that's this case,
Right.
but I'm saying as a man in society who was attacked verbally and physically by a woman that I could have brought police charges against, I can honestly tell you that the Me Too movement should be for everyone, and that men and women can be victimized, and men and women can have stories that spill out into the public that are not true. The story that my ex-girlfriend would have told, I would imagine, would never have been the truth, because why would she go out in public and say, yeah, I tried to kill my boyfriend?
Right.
So, I'm not going to pretend to know Mel's situation, which is what a lot of people do, because a lot of people just like rock jock radio. But what I can say is, wherever the truth lies, I hope if someone is lying, they stop on either side, because lying will get you nowhere. The truth always comes out. And I pray and I hope that whatever mental, emotional, physical, or any type of anguish either one or both have faced amidst all of this, that they heal from it. I hope they keep God at the center of their life. And I hope that they and their loved ones find a path forward through this, because hearing of any of these instances in or out of the public is sad. And I think that what we never talk about is the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual anguish that comes from this. And in this case, economical anguish that'll come from this as well. And undoubtedly, whoever's innocent, whoever's guilty, some people will victimize Mel, some people will victimize Brenda. And no matter what the truth is, some people make up their own minds.
Yeah.
So I think the sad part of all of this is people are hurting. And that is the thing that I pray that ends the fastest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation. It's like I always say, you just treat people with respect, man. And then when you're in leadership positions, man, you got to be on your P's and Q's, man. I mean, people's always watching, and you got a bunch of men that are looking up to you. So, I mean, whatever the case may be, yeah, like you said, hopefully the truth comes out about it. And it gets, when you get to, or you want to say like the corporate world or business world like that, stuff like that, people, I know he doesn't feel like he was treated fairly with due process.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff like saving face for organizations is not really what, they're trying to stand behind you or not. But, those situations, you definitely got to be aware of how you treat somebody. You got to be sensitive to each other's position too. So,
well, and there's a lot of things that go on in today's world, right? There's the reality in today's America that if a man's brought up on any charge by any woman at any time, and it's not true, there's a chance that a man might be fired before any process is done.
Right.
Because companies just don't want to deal with it in today's America. At the same time, I also look to me as a man back in 2006. No, it was 2004 or 5 when what happened to me happened to me. I didn't call the cops, and there was one reason why. Can you guess it?
Really?
I didn't call the cops because I said to myself, I'm going to call the cops as a man. They're going to show up and speak to a man and a woman. And even though this woman tried to kill me, I am confident that I'll be handcuffed on the front lawn. Because it's me and it's her, and they're going to look at me and they're going to look at her. And I'm a strong guy. and she's a petite woman,
Right.
and they're just going to have the mentality of. And then I thought to myself, this woman's crazy enough to do what she just did. What if she hears me call the cops, goes in the bathroom, punches herself in the face, and then says he hit me?
Right. Right.
I mean, everything inside of me as a victim trying to get out of the house, I had to literally sit and think in my head, I can't call law enforcement because they won't believe me. And people said, why? And I said, because I'm a man. So I know that's a totally different situation, but I bring it up because in this situation with Mel and with Brenda, it's these situations are so dirty. And it's so murky, and it's embarrassing, and it's disheartening, and it's stressful, and it's depressing, and it's scary. And in all honesty, let's say Mel was 100% wrong. Coaches all across America, whether it's consensual or not, which it should always be consensual, but when they're having consensual stuff, these coaches, if it's not consensual, I don't care, man, woman, or child. If it's not consensual, you belong in jail. Okay? You never force somebody to do something they don't want to do. If it is consensual, I'm telling you this right now, every single coach in America is watching this case going, I better be really careful about everything I do consensually, because they could come out at any time and say it wasn't. Right? And I think that that's the scary part. And we joke about things like I've said to you that allegedly Drake, if he's involved with a woman, she signed something. And I've said to you, I'm a business owner. I'm going to be like, sign. I had one girl tell me, she goes, pull my hair. I was like, initial here, initial there, sign here. But you think about it now, this could 100% be Mel's fault. And then what if it's not? Right?
Yeah, you can't be rushed to judgment on the situation. Let it play out, and like you say, hopefully the truth does come out. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be those ones that are going to jump on one side, one's going to jump on the other side because of who the player, or not player, but the status of a person is. But yeah, I mean, if you're professional, man, keep it professional, though. I mean, that's my thing is, there's a time and place for everything, but when you're around business, don't mix that stuff with your business, man. I mean, that's not a good practice.
No, and I think many men and women in life that have done things consensually would still go back and go, man, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have sent that picture. I shouldn't have done that live Facebook thing. I shouldn't have had them come to the office. I think, I've had women say to me before, hey, I want to come over to the studio and do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh, you could do that not in the studio. We're not going to do none of that in the studio. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, in today's world, you got to be really cognizant of everyone you deal with, and you got to keep your circle close. And I think there's many reasons why Isaac and I are single. And one of them definitely is that there's just a lot in today's world. There's a lot. There's a lot. This is the thing. I would love to be with somebody, but there's enough stuff that goes on. There's Taylor Swift songs all the time. I know my comedy. I'm like, listen, you got to be very... Okay, there's a song by Mitchell Tenpenny. Love the song. So, Mel, Brenda, to the world, to everybody dealing with things, I hope the truth comes out. I hope everything works out. I hope liars never succeed. That's not me wishing bad on people. That's asking for God to show the truth. I hope liars never succeed. I hope justice is brought. I hope people feel safe when they put their head on the pillow and all throughout the day. Okay? Separate conversation. But going off of what we're talking about, Mitchell Tenpenny has a song, and he says, there's two sides to every breakup. One's the lie and one's the truth. One went down and one was made up, and in the end, we both lose. and so, there is a lot of truth to that. And that song, I believe, was written for me and my ex-wife. And because I tell you, this is how I feel about it. I'm like, you better not say anything.
Yeah.
Because there's this crazy thing called truth that just creeps up in the world sometimes. But we know what went down and we know what was made up. But I just, it's, one of the beauties of being a sportscaster is that we get to bring people away from the craziness, away from the news and the downtrodden, depressing news, And it's like over the years, all this dirty, because it's human beings, has crept into it. And you're just like, you know what I mean? It's like sports is a getaway for so many people. So when this comes into it, it just kind of shows you that there's good people and there's people that aren't doing good things in every walk of life.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit here and condemn anybody on the show because I've never done that. And I just hope that the truth comes out, because in relationships, some people do things because they happen, and some people do things because they have a very vengeful heart. And I just feel bad, but it's like, look at how quick this happens. Mel Tucker's the coach. Mel Tucker's successful. Mel Tucker goes to a Peach Bowl. I interview Mel Tucker. Now Mel Tucker doesn't have a job. And it's like, that was all within 2 years.
Right. So yeah, I mean, you gotta be careful, man. You gotta know the motives of people you with. You know, like you say. I mean, keep your circle small, and protect yourself at all times, man. If that's a boxing saying, it's a key to life, man. You just don't. And feelings get mixed up in stuff like that too. So you never know. How people are going to react to certain situations, and if you're successful or whatever the case may be, hey, it's easy to put you up on top of that pedestal, but they can knock you down just as quick too. So
you got to be very selective on who you surround yourself with, because you are the company you keep. And not that we don't all make mistakes, and not that trusting is a bad thing. It's just sometimes it's a tough lesson when you realize the people that you can't trust, right? And it's not fun to go through some of this stuff. And they some people would say don't date a comedian because the stuff might come out. And I would say, as someone who likes to make people laugh, stuff only comes out if you did it. When women say, I don't want to be in your comedy show, I said, is that an admission of guilt? I mean, you're not going to ever be in the show unless you make yourself be in the show.
Right.
I'm not going to be like on stage going, hey, my lady's so good to me. Ha ha ha. That's not funny. What's funny is some of the stuff that I've been through. Like, I'm going to tell you something. There's been some parts of this country I've seen and some places I've been to. And I'm not saying the end of the world is here, but I think I saw it coming.
It was close to it, right?
Yeah. I was like, wow, this hotel's really nice. And what it's surrounded by is The Walking Dead. It was horrifying. I felt like if I left the fence of my hotel, anything could happen.
Stay inside the fence.
Yeah. I was like, you're going to make me go to this hotel and live this life. Is this what we doing? Really? So, but Syracuse at 3-0, the defense is killing it. The one thing I really want to talk about above all things of this defense is something that I don't hear a lot of people say. And it's not that the defense is good. It's that guys keep going to the NFL and finishing their eligibility, and the defense stays good. There's this reality that the 3-3-5 a few years ago was a test. It could have done well. It could have done terribly. Under Tony White for 3 seasons, it did well.
Right.
Under Rocky Long, it continues to do well. And it's producing guys in the NFL, and it's building this bridge. And a corner goes to the NFL, another corner steps up. Safety goes to the NFL, another safety steps up. They're like, oh man, you lost Michael Jones. Marlo Wax is out there killing it. There's something to be said that this defense isn't just good. They're good every time. They're never rebuilding. All throughout the 3-3-5, Syracuse has just been reloading.
Yeah. What I think about it is, you're correct that, there's players behind him. I love this linebacker core. I think they're so deep. You heard Derek McDonald name called so many times. And to me, I always look at the paper in the springtime. I just see Austin Roon's name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man, when is this guy's going to get his next turn, Yeah. But there's guys ahead of him, that's balling out and stuff. But, consistency is important. We went to the 3-3-5, and I was like, Only reason why I had reservations about it because old West Virginia teams used to play it. And we used to
West Virginia never played defense.
But we used to run the ball down their throats. And I was like, do we really want to go to this type of defense? So, But what I like about Tony White and Rocky Long, they're more aggressive, I guess. I don't know. I can't speak of whether West Virginia was this aggressive with it, but
you brushed over a big statement I made that Mountaineer fans probably going nuts right now. When I was like, they don't play any defense.
Well, Big 12 don't play defense, but anyhow.
Big 12. What is the Big 12? Oh, by the way, I got something coming up, but I got to say this to you really quick. I can't take credit. Well, this was like a name by accident. Uh-huh. So, Noreen Morris, the commissioner of the NEC, she was talking about being the schools being under a big tent.
Okay.
And I said, "Oh my goodness, I got the most perfect name for the Big Ten. Since they are the Big 18 now, and you don't want to go by numbers, and they're all over the country, why not just call them the Big Tent and just put one more letter on there?" The SEC and the Big Tent. I think it's perfect. But you were saying Rocky.
But Rocky, yeah. I like the way he played. It's an aggressive style defense. And what kind of helps Syracuse in this thing, I mean, and for us this year, we got a lot of depth, whether it's on the D line, the linebacker core, the back end. They were able, okay, you got three guys up front, but they're still I think they're three deep in that line. I mean, I've watched games. Yeah, we played the Colgates and the Western Michigan, but you've seen throughout that game the defensive line rotating. No, this series, okay, these guys going in. Next series, this next group's going in, and rotating back and forth. Okay, the starting guy's going to come out, and this one series, if the team drives them down to the goal line, all right, now the starter's back in. We're going to defend the red zone. You know what I'm talking?
Yeah.
That type of stuff. So you can kind of see, hey, they all play off of each other, which makes it, a real interesting that, hey, we all get to eat. Where it's just not, hey, we don't stay in this game and wear ourselves out, and hey, lately, hey, they've been producing so many turnovers, they're not really on the field that long. So that's the good thing about it too. But I like an attacking defense. It's not like Brian Ward. He was more of a, hey, let's sit back and react. Let's see what the defense. It wasn't. It's hard to get a D line unless you just got 4-star, 5-stars, and not that means stars or everything, but if you're just depending on your front four to bring pressure,
you don't want to be a good offensive coordinator for the other team.
It was that too,
and that's what it was.
Yeah,
it's the same thing that the Jaguars had done for a time. Rashean Mathis, it was like read and react. Rashean Mathis would wait for you to catch the ball, and then he'd go by the sideline and he'd hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And if his hands didn't send you out of bounds, then you got around him.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, tackle the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Step the route. Andre Sisco, he jumped 2 routes. He almost got 1 pick, and then he got the second one.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just pick anybody else. He picked off a multi-time Super Bowl champion who is going to be in the Hall of Fame, who could go down as arguably, maybe potentially one day the greatest quarterback ever. He picked that dude's pocket. That's Cinco Cisco.
Yeah.
And where did he come from?
The Cuse, baby.
Hello? Came from.
But that's what I'm saying. It's those guys step up, and it was kind of like the interception that Marlowe got. Purdue's doing the dig route. And then Cinco said, okay, I see you doing that. I'm going to adjust to that. So it's not like they're only attacking, but they also understand where they need to be, how another offense is trying to attack them. And they make the adjustments somewhat themselves. They hold each other accountable. So that's the one thing I really like about the defense. It's like, hey, we know what you're trying to do. And then, we'll play coy for you a little bit, but then they'll make that adjustments, and then, hey, you see the results right now.
Well, and you said something. They're rotating.
Mm-hmm.
And what does rotation do? It gives a lot of guys experience instead of some guys. When you have your starters and they're there unless somebody gets hurt, then it's like that's all the experience. The 2s and the 3s and the 4s don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
In Syracuse's defense, the rotate, that gives so many people experience that your third string linebacker, if they have to go in, if somebody gets hurt, if they have to start, guess what? They've played for 3 games. They haven't been in 70 snaps, but maybe they've been in 15, which is better than 0. So there's that part of it that's huge. By the way, nationally, I'm going to say this, and I know that after I say it, something will happen this coming week. But I'm going to say it. I think for the first time ever in the history of Wake Up Call and in 19 plus years that I've been a broadcaster, I think someone somewhere heard our cry. Because OHIO, Ohio, who's beaten nobody, is out of the top 5. What? You know, they are not in there. The AP put them at 6. They're still in the 4 in the coaches poll, but the AP put them at 6. So I just found that to be interesting. Florida State is 4. They went down 1 spot, and they're in the same spot in the coaches poll. They're in 3. Georgia and Michigan are 1 and 2. I'll tell you at the end of the season which one of those makes sense. Actually, they'll tell you. They'll do it for us. And I'm not saying Michigan can't win. I'm just saying when you baby a program, any program, that they know they don't have, all they have to do is stay undefeated. And guess what? What if Coastal Carolina was undefeated? What if Memphis was undefeated? What if SMU was undefeated? What if Duke was undefeated? That's not going to change their future.
It won't.
You know, and that's the thing. You might think I dog the Big Ten. I don't. If it was the ACC, if it was the SEC, if it was the
Big 12.
The Pac-2.
Oh, Pac-2. Okay.
So because they're, they didn't ever get it either. But the Big 12, same thing. The Big 12 was like, hey, we could put Cincinnati in, or we could put in Baylor, and it's like, dude, Cincinnati's undefeated. Baylor just lost a game. Yeah. But if they played Cincinnati, they would win. All right, so now we're going to deal in hypotheticals. Exactly. That's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. So the top 10 is, and guess who's in the top 10? Who's always there? Why? Because their name, Notre Dame, is number 9. I'm not saying Notre Dame isn't having a better season, but if your name is Notre Dame, Ohio State, or Michigan, you will always start the season in the top 25 in football. You will probably start in the top 10. I don't know the last time Notre Dame was not in the top 10. It hasn't been any time recently. Fly Slam Jamma Bama is number 11, down 3 spots in the AP. In the coaches poll, they're down 2 to spot 12. All I'm going to say is simply this, okay? If Florida can be in this thing, now I know they beat Tennessee, but if Florida's going to be ranked in the top 25 at 2-1, and you got dang near half the Big Ten in here, Iowa, and who are these teams playing?
Right.
If Syracuse beats Army and they're 4-0, argue with me that we don't put Syracuse between 21 and 25. That you can't put them at 23. You can't put them at 25. You can't put them at 24. You got to reserve all these spots for the Big Ten. Why don't you just have a Big Ten poll where you rank all the Big Ten schools by, how about this? They're going to have 18 schools. If they get a couple more, they can all be in the top 25 and nobody else. So, I mean, the reality of it all is it's how you're playing. And a lot of these teams are not playing any ranked teams. Right. So if you're not playing any ranked teams and you have no key victories, then how do you argue Syracuse out if you're going to put all these other teams in?
Who's Washington State? I mean, not to pick on them, but I mean, like, Washington State just comes out of nowhere to me.
I do want to let people know, for the first time this season, I believe, Syracuse got votes for both. They got 2 votes for the AP Top 25 in the media, and in the coaches poll, they got 10 at 3-0. Washington State has beaten Colorado State, Wisconsin, and Northern Colorado. None of them are ranked. Oh, did you want to see it?
No, you good.
So they have, so none of them are ranked. I just did to you what they did when they argued the Big Ten. Oh, you want to see the reason? Oh, sorry, it's off the screen. And we deleted it. What happened?
Can you go back?
We cannot go back. We don't have a back. We don't have a backspace on here. So Utah beat unranked Florida, unranked Baylor, and unranked Weber State. I'm just for argument again. This is not an attack on anybody that we're naming, any conference, any team. I'm just stating that some teams have preferential
Western Michigan,
Utah State, Iowa State, and Western Michigan, and Iowa's ranked in the top 25. And wait, hold on. since we're doing music. Who did they beat? Nobody. So, I mean, but you just look at it. And then Colorado, why is Colorado ranked?
Oh,
because
I saw why Iowa was ranked. Did you see their next game?
Colorado.
No.
I thought
Iowa.
Oh, no, you know what it was?
No, click on Iowa.
It was because I saw Dion on the picture.
Yeah.
It's not their next game.
Who's their next game again?
Of course it is. Penn State. You got to make it look like a good win.
They got to have a good win, man. Knock them out the top 25. They beat a ranked team.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If Iowa and Syracuse have the same record by October 7th, and Iowa loses to Purdue, I will be on that $$ all day, every day on this show. I will be on that, what. I don't put up with any of that. It's ridiculous.
The setup is here.
Yeah, Oregon State is in the top 25. They beat San Jose. What happened? There we go. Time we got shut off. That's nice. Thanks, guys. They're like, da-na, delete. Who runs Facebook? Hello, Mark Zuckerberg. There's a show going on right now, and you wouldn't believe what they said about you. They're coming after us. They're trying to kill it. So it's ridiculous. But yeah, so we lost the feed here for a second. Let me make sure we're still good on here. I believe we are.
What you gonna do about my legs, Charlie?
So, yeah, so I believe we are. Yeah, so we're here. We're still here. We checked the feed. We're still here. Thank goodness.
There we go.
So they tried to, and they failed miserably. So
when we're out, we're always in.
Yeah, even when we're out, we're always in. So what I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted is that Oregon State has beaten San Jose State, UC Davis, and San Diego State. And the argument for Oregon, they are ranked, folks, not 25, not 22. They're ranked 14th in the nation. They're in a conference that doesn't even exist anymore.
Who's that quarterback there?
DJ Uiagalelei.
Oh, he must have got some of that Clemson magic.
He got that Clemson pixie dust. Yeah.
Wrong orange team. They rank it right now.
Yeah. We got the orange in. They're the Beavers, right?
Yeah.
They're not. Since when? So, again, argument's sake, you got those games that Oregon State won, and they're not in the top 25. They're in the top 14.
Yeah.
And you're telling me Syracuse does not have a schedule that is similar to Oregon State right now to be ranked 25 even?
Well, they're ahead of Duke.
They're ahead of Duke, who beat Clemson. It doesn't make sense.
What'd you say? Make it make sense?
Make it make sense. You said it first, and then I said it. Make it. I'm just waiting until we start seeing the teams in the top 10 that got one loss.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Michigan had a bad day. They had a flight that was delayed. And, Washington, this is the thing that happened with Washington. They were having a clam bake, and some of the players, I think, got some bad clams because they didn't know you're not supposed to eat the clams that don't open. Mm-hmm. And then one guy stubbed his toe, and another guy couldn't find the right toothpaste in the store. Would you believe it? So out of respect for Washington's, things out of their control.
Yeah, we just got that.
We got to keep them in the top 10.
They can't fall out.
Right. And again, it's like it could be Oregon State, it could be Ole Miss, it could be anybody. We're just stating an argument. Mm-hmm. You cannot argue Oregon State. If you can't argue Syracuse in the top 25, you can't argue Oregon State. Oregon State, with their record, what they did, if Syracuse is not in, then Oregon State should be 25. Mm-hmm. They're 14. They're 14.
Right.
And you're telling me Syracuse's wins over Colgate, Western Michigan, who other teams are in the top 25 beating Western Michigan, Colgate, Western Michigan, and Purdue doesn't warrant. Let me ask you a question. Has Oregon State played a Big Ten school yet?
I don't think
Has
so.
Syracuse done it?
Yeah.
On the road? And they won by how many? 15?
Dominating.
Wait a minute. Last time Michigan State lost to Purdue, it was considered a quality loss. Syracuse beat Purdue, and it's not a quality win? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, make it make sense.
Yeah, and Colorado won and went down 1. So I don't know how to...
Yeah. Well, that happened to UCF. UCF, in the COVID year, they were like, hey, Michigan hasn't played for 4 weeks, but UCF, you need to move down a couple spots. Mm-hmm. You need to make some space.
Florida State went down.
Florida State went down.
Okay.
Florida State went down so that Texas could go up.
Yeah, it was a road game. Come on. I mean,
yeah.
In-conference opponent on the road, they still won the game. So why are they going?
I mean, you got to put Texas up. They beat Wyoming.
Yeah.
I mean, how dumb can this be? When I mean, it's like, and if you don't want me to call out the BS, then don't make it so blatant. I mean, try to hide it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This is like a criminal hiding in plain sight. This is like a criminal taking their glove off and saying, I want my money, and slamming their, not fingerprint, their entire hand on it and going, you can't get me. And then the cop goes in, dusts for fingerprints, and goes, the guy's 3 blocks away. Go get him.
Yeah.
Stupid.
But it's all set up, though, man.
It's set up.
One team is set up to beat another team to make them look better on
What
paper.
Do they say? The fix is in.
Mm-hmm.
The fix is
We just
in.
need to use you for our win, and that you're out of the top 25 after we beat you.
I'll tell you this right now. Colorado should be ranked above Oregon State.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse should be in the top 25. Just for giggles, I know I'm going to piss myself off, but let me see who Oklahoma beat. I just want to get mad. Mm-hmm. So they beat
the bad Oklahoma team from last year.
They beat Arkansas State, SMU, and they beat Tulsa.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even a close game at Tulsa. Tulsa's made it close before.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even a close game. Let me just do this for fun. Notre Dame has beaten Navy, Tennessee State. Raise your hand if you knew Tennessee State had a school. Thank you. They beat NC State. Well, Dan, they're pretty good. Yeah, well, NC State doesn't get any respect either.
Yeah.
And they beat Central Michigan. Where does Central Michigan play? What's the conference? It's the what? The MAC? Who else is in the MAC? If I could only... Is Western Michigan in the MAC? Oh. But Notre Dame is 9 and Syracuse is 37 right now. Or wherever the hell.
Who do they play next?
Yeah, who? Notre Dame plays Duke. And if Duke beats Notre Dame, they're going to go down 1 freaking spot. Can't take them out of the top 10.
Or Ohio State, yeah.
Watch Duke go up 3 spots and Notre Dame comes down 1. Stupider things have happened. Dumber things have happened, folks. You think that Harry and Lloyd in Dumb and Dumber put it at the baseline. I think Harry and Lloyd's dumber brothers are voting in these polls right now.
Somebody putting the ballots in.
Samsonite. It's right here. It's right. Yeah, it's right here. So close. Yeah. So you're saying there's a chance. So Syracuse, if you keep winning, you'll probably stay unranked.
Yeah, most likely.
You know, and they'll put you in the Idaho Potato Bowl. And
how dare you lose to an opponent?
Yeah. And gosh forbid Syracuse loses, they're going to go, see, that's why they're out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we never put them in for 5 weeks. Well, then why the hell is Michigan in?
Or how's the comment? They won their first 6 games last year, and then they want to, last year's last year. Why are we talking about last year's team?
Okay. And what I would say to them is, okay, so Notre Dame was good 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Oklahoma was terrible last year, so why are they in the top 25 already? So
Oklahoma's about to be the 8-4 team in the top 15 when they're in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
To be like, Oklahoma just lost to Missouri. And with that loss, they're in the college football playoff. It's so stupid. Just make it make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want to see a comedy show where I don't have to prep anything ever, show me the rankings 5 minutes before I go on stage. I'll be up there for 3 hours. I don't even have to blink.
Mm-hmm. We know you love the rankings.
I love the rankings as much as I love all my exes. A couple of them are all right.
Yeah, of them.
Couple of my exes are good.
Yeah.
Couple of my exes, it's like having Colorado and Duke in the rankings right now. I respect it.
Yeah.
I respect some of my exes. But the overwhelming majority, I would liken them to Michigan, Ohio State. I got a Washington State ex. I got an Oregon. I got a Beaver ex. In more ways than one, I got a Beaver. So.
Duly noted. I got you.
Isaac's like, he's not going to do it. Oh, he did it.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I always, when in doubt, go there. So if you're going to put up these stupid rankings, I'm going to make a sexual joke about them. So.
Yeah.
Don't give me these rankings are like giving me a 40-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle. I could hit this thing sleeping. Stupid. Anyways, Syracuse is playing Army. Neither one is ranked. Both of them are coming off of awesome wins, both on the road.
Sure.
Army beats UTSA, who was picked by the media to finish second in the American Athletic Conference, even though it's a new conference for them this year. I have UTSA high. I had them high in this thing. I do respect the conference. I think UTSA was going to be one of the darlings of the American. They haven't, gotten into the nitty gritty of the American, obviously, yet. But Army did a tremendous job on the road. Granted, UTSA was playing with a backup quarterback.
I was just going to mention that.
Because Frank Harris, who has been on the show, and Frank, I mean this with love, he's in his 14th season in college football. And it's actually his 7th. He's halfway there. This is what I tell the guys and the girls all the time when they tell me 6-7 years. I go, just get a freaking doctorate. Like, how many people are going to get a free doctorate education?
Right.
If I was playing football or any sport for 7 years, I'm going to be a doctor.
I don't know the name, but funny that you said that, but there's a kid that got his 8th year eligibility. I can't remember the name.
He probably plays for Ohio State. He probably plays for Michigan. If it's basketball, he plays for Villanova. If it's basketball, it's Villanova. I was checking some numbers on Villanova. And this guy's been here 6 years before COVID.
Nah, that wasn't his brother. That was him.
Yeah. And how many RC Diaconos are there? There's 9 brothers. It's the same guy, just cutting his hair a different way. Oh, I'm not Ryan. I'm Steve Archidiacono. Yeah, okay. Well, then how come every time you play for Villanova, Ryan doesn't play in the NBA? How does that work out? Why is Superman and Clark Kent never in the same place at the same time? So, and how stupid are people that didn't know that Clark Kent, because he had glasses on? When I put my glasses on, people are like, what up, Dan? I didn't know it was you.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
You took your glasses off. I could have swore you were a Big Ten supporter. So, anywho.
But no, Army did come out with a good victory.
Huge win.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, coming into the season, not knowing that they changed offensive style, I'm impressed by. I mean, it's still option, but it's spread option, and they're actually throwing the ball around the yard. That's the different thing. That's the main thing is like, oh, man, okay. So
what'd you say to me? You said, why are they throwing the ball right now?
Why are they throwing this ball right now?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, but they look impressive. I mean, first few games that one receiver had like 3 catches for 120 yards. I was like, okay, I see your Army.
Yeah.
I see you coming. But
they've been doing some good stuff.
Yeah, they have been. I mean, to say that they've, switched that system that fast, I heard the quarterback mention, I think last week, he's thrown the ball more in this fall practice than he threw the ball in like the first 3 years he's been in the Army. So
yeah,
that tells you how much different that offensive is, So, hey, Army's going to come in. They're going to be detailed and disciplined, and I'm looking for them to give Syracuse a good game. This is just another game for Syracuse to come out and focus and be on top of their game. Don't take, again, like they say, respect the opponent.
Yeah.
But when they do that, hey, they usually come out on top.
Yeah, and for those of you on Facebook, when the audio did cut, it cut us on Facebook. So we're carrying here on YouTube and on Podbean, and we'll share this to Facebook afterwards to make sure everybody gets it. Mm-hmm. So, Big Ten, there's always a backup plan.
You're not going to get out of it.
Yeah, you're not going to get us. Zuckerberg, be nice to me. You can be my friend on Facebook.
There you go.
There you go. I'm willing to be your friend on Facebook. So, Yeah, it's like, how many friends you got on Facebook? 3,000. How many friends you really got? 4. 4. You think 3,000 people are going to take a bullet for you? No. Most of those people would be like, bullets? Bah! You know, they'd be gone. They'd be gone well before that.
Exactly.
You know, you got to be with someone that's going to have your back. This man said to me multiple times, if I was ever in jail, he didn't even ask what it was for.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I got you. I get you out. The only thing that Isaac ever said to me was, if it's game night, I have to wait a couple hours.
You're gonna have to wait a few hours.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna be like a monkey or Spider-Man. I'm gonna be up on the top of the cage. No one's touching me. Jason, my buddy Jason, he said, you're too pretty to be in jail. And you know what? I agree. And I don't.
Like they told Richard Pryor, you better tell some jokes in jail.
I will be telling jokes.
Keep their mind off.
Yeah, I'll be like, would you look at this? Would you look at this, warden? Look at this, warden. And the warden look at me. I'll be like, I'm trying to just be. My buddy's gonna be here in about an hour. Okay, I need to do an hour worth of stand up.
There you go.
And I know I can do this.
There you go.
You ever want to know if you could do stand up? Do it in a jail cell. I'll never do it again. But Syracuse playing Army, both of them coming off of big road wins.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was watching Army, I was a little concerned before the Army game. Then when I watched Army this past week, I went, uh-oh, I'm a lot concerned. Mm-hmm. Then I saw Syracuse's game after Army's game, and I was like, okay, now I feel better.
Yeah.
Because the way that Army played, I'm like, uh-oh, Syracuse. And then the way that Syracuse played was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I think this is going to be a good matchup. One of two things is going to happen. This game is going to be a dog fight down to the wire, which I would put my money more on now.
Mm-hmm.
Or Syracuse is going to separate themselves. I think, in my opinion, this game is going to be a dog fight.
Yeah, I think defense, again, I think the defense leads this team, but even if it wasn't spread option, if it was just, the option that they normally style to play,
yeah,
you got to be assignment discipline. And I still think that this way. I mean, the Army quarterback, watching that last game, he can run the ball still. I mean, this is not like, he's throwing it over the yard. He's a pocket passer. I mean, if they got a counter to our Garrett Schrader, that's what Army is. I mean, they got a guy that's capable to use his feet and get out the pocket. Now, how well does he throw it? We'll find out. I mean, that's the key. Syracuse got to get them in 3rd and longs and get them out of 4th and 2, because this Army offense doesn't come off the field on a 4th and 2. It's just like, okay, I got it.
You're gonna try and get the military to come off on 4th and short when they put their lives on the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No matter where they're at on the field, they will go for it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying the defense got to make sure it's 3rd and long, 4th and long.
Make them throw.
And make them throw it, just to see how well, okay, you throwing the ball, and then prove it to me how well you can throw it, So run game-wise, I'm like you, it's going to be a dog fight. I think that Army still is dangerous. They got big guys in the trenches. And like I say, we got guys that can rotate. Now, offensively, I'm interested to see how well, that Army defense is going to stand up against what we do offensively. That's the key to me. Like you said, it could run away on them if they can't stop, the athletes that Syracuse offense has,
Yeah.
But, again, I'm not worried about the defense, but if the defense locks down, then I think Syracuse will have a decent time with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think the defense, in my opinion, it's played so well for Syracuse, and not so much for Army. So I feel like, this defense has an opportunity to showcase itself once again. And if you form, going off what you said, if you force Army into passing downs to keep their drives alive, that's a great spot. I think that's some turnover opportunities for you. But if you let this team run the ball and you let them get comfortable, you're going to be in a different place. Mm-hmm. James said Rocky Long played against military schools before out west, so he knows the system to defeat Army. And so appreciate the message, James. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. We definitely appreciate it. And let us know, James, where you hail from. So I always like to shout out hometown. So make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let us know where you're from, because we love to shout it out. And so
He makes a good point. I mean, Rocky's seen a lot of different types of football. It's not going to surprise him.
Yeah.
It's a matter of the players on the team listening to what he's going
he
over.
can say it.
He can say it. He can tell it. But
Right.
you picked the wrong gap or wrong assignment, and what Western Michigan do? 70 yards to the house. Not saying that this is what's going to happen, but yeah, I mean, coaches. I mean, these coaches have been around. And I think somebody made a good point about the last game is, Dino and Rocky's been around a while, and Dino's established a cultural identity in this program, so they know what to expect. Where at Purdue, you got a new coaching staff, new system, new way, and are they making the right adjustments at the right time? Maybe not, but they're trying to find who they are. So we may have the advantage on that, but not saying we're gonna have the advantage going in the Army game either. The Army coaching staff have been together for a minute too. So
10 years for Monken.
Something like that.
Just got extension
too. So
to 2027, Jeff Monken.
Mm-hmm.
And how about this? A head coach at a military institution is making $2 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at that, he's making more than $1 million a year, which is huge for him. Let's see, what did James say? Southside Nottingham High School grad. So shout out to James, local.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nottingham. Shout out to Dorsey Levins.
Mm-hmm.
Much love to Dorsey Levins as well. So I love seeing that. So I hope you'll be out at the game, James. Hope you'll be supporting the team. This is a game that's special to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because those of you that don't know, Isaac has served in the military for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that. Thank you, as I always say that.
Appreciate you.
So when everybody stands in the dome, I always tell him to stand. But Army means a lot to you, being a part of the military and everything you do with the U.S. Army. So this game, I know, is going to be a special game for you because your heart is going to be in two places.
Yeah, I mean, I always root for Army throughout the season, especially end of the season. Go Army, beat Navy, of course, always. But yeah, it's and I always thought that Army might have played Syracuse sooner, but the last time they was to the dome was in the late '90s. So I mean, it's gonna be special to be able to see them. And I know a lot of the guys I currently work with are hyped and going to be at the game just because the cadets are going to be here. So it's gonna be good to see those guys out there live and in action. So, but it's not too often. I don't know if you've ever been to West Point, but
that's the thing. I want to go. I haven't been there yet.
Early 2000, I had the opportunity to go down for alumni weekend, and they were playing Boston College. Long story short, I didn't get at the game, but the campus is beautiful, man. I went down there for a pregame.
Yeah.
And oh my God, just to be on the campus along the Hudson River. And you see the stadium, and I've been there a couple of times, not just for the game, but it's a special place, a lot of our leaders come out of that academy, so it means a lot, So definitely going to be interested to watch this game, though.
Yeah, the United States Army and Syracuse. So a game that has meaning to Dino, a game that has meaning to you, a game that has meaning to me, thanks to my incredible family and their service in the Army, and as well as all different branches of the military. So this game was circled for me a long time ago because of the fact that it's Army.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love it if Syracuse played Army every year.
Yeah. It was almost like a battle of New York a little bit.
Yeah. It's West Point.
Yeah.
It's Syracuse, not too much distance between the two. So I would love to see that. I think that they should be playing all the time. I think Syracuse should be playing Navy and Army.
Mm-hmm.
And, and play Air Force. I mean, why the heck not? So, do that and have some fun with it. And I think you get a lot of more butts in the seats, too, to see these games. So I look forward to this special meeting, the Black Knights, the Orange, going up against each other this Saturday at noon Eastern time. Why? Because Syracuse gets no respect when it comes to TV listings. So they're at noon, and I'm double booked on Saturday, so I will be there after I am the master of ceremony for Lemoyne's Gold Wave 2023 induction ceremony for their Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about that, and I'll be right down the road, and then I'll be off to Syracuse to see Army at Syracuse, and can't wait for this game. Army's 2-1. The teams that they played and the record that they had, they are, if they were in the Big Ten, they would be Michigan, and but they're also not ranked. So good to see Army coming into the building. Two teams that are again coming off of their best wins of the season.
Right.
So in this very early season, in this first quarter of the season, coming off a UTSA on the road for Army and Purdue for Syracuse, I think this is set up to be a really good one. I honestly think that this game, I can see Syracuse pulling away toward the end, but I think this game is going to be, it's going to be a close for a bit, maybe 3/4. This game is going to be a good game because you can never underestimate the military academies. They say their athletes aren't the same, they're not as big, they're not 5 stars, blah blah blah. But you know what they have on everyone else in the country? No one is putting their life on the line in other areas. And to be a student athlete is almost impossible. To be a student athlete member of the military is like superhuman. So you can never underestimate Army, Navy, and Air Force. And if for nothing else, I'm going to be looking up at my Pop Miller, my dad's dad, and really proud of him, and my great uncle Bucky, and my great uncle Vincent, and celebrating them. And I'm definitely going to be enjoying this Army Syracuse game. Honestly, this is a game I would buy a T-shirt of because I am a proponent that this game should be every year.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, to be so close, it almost like it should be a rivalry game a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure back in those days, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, how many times, and I think they've played before in Yankee Stadium, I believe, because when people used to talk about why are Syracuse playing in Yankee Stadium and stuff like that, I think we've had historical games against Army in Yankee Stadium too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just the nature of today's college athletics. It's more across. Syracuse is a national brand too. We go everywhere to play. Where back in the those earlier days, that was a close proximity. Of course, you're going to play, everybody within your region. So
was their last meeting was 1996.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was thinking it was like early 2000 something maybe, but yeah, I heard it was 1996 was the last time.
So the series started back in 1899. Here's some craziness. They play most of their games in November against each other. And so I'm going to bring you through the history because it's crazy. It's almost a dead even series. So back in 1899, on November 18th, 1899, in West Point, Army beat Syracuse in their first ever matchup 12-6. Then on November 15th, 1902, in West Point, Army beat Syracuse 46-0. They played their first many games at West Point. Syracuse always had to go over there. In November 19th, 1904, Syracuse lost to West Point 21-5. Then on November 25th, 1905, Syracuse lost to Army and West Point 17-0. In 1906, the game was canceled, and it was
it forfeited to Syracuse?
It looked like it was forfeited to Syracuse 4-0. Syracuse on November 24th, 1906. It's considered a loss, but it also says canceled. In 1907, on November 23rd, in West Point, Army won 23-4. They won by almost the same score on November 23rd, 1912, exactly 5 years later, in West Point, 23-7. And then they would lose in West Point in 1919 on October 11th, 7-3. Then they would win again in West Point on October 16th, 1926, 27-21. Then they would lose at home, Army would, 13-0 to Syracuse at West Point, October 15th, 1955. Then they would play their first ever game in Syracuse in 1956, a day before my birthday, October 20th, and they would lose that game 7-0. Then they would face off in New York City.
Is that Jim Brown era, 1956?
Yeah, around that time, because 59 is when they won the championship.
with Ernie.
So, yeah, so 7-0. And then they played 3 straight games in New York City. And Army won on November 5th, 1960, 9-6. They won 9-2 on September 29th, 1962 in New York City. They lost 27-15 to Syracuse in New York City on November 7th, 1964. Then they went back to West Point and lost that game 31-29 to Syracuse on November 7th, 1970. On November 11th, 1972, they lost in Syracuse 27-6. Then they lost in Syracuse on October 27th, 1984, 27-16 in Syracuse, New York. Then on September 13th, 1986, the first game that I was alive for, they won at home in West Point over Syracuse 33-28. And in the last 3 games that I've been alive for, they've lost to Syracuse. September 16th, 1989, in Syracuse, they lost 10-7. On October 27th, 1990, at West Point, they lost 26-14. And most recently, on November 16th, 1996, they lost in Syracuse 42-17. So they won the majority of the first games, but all of those games for many, many years were played only at West Point. And so, it's like they didn't have to ever worry about playing on the road for the first, let's see here. So if you count the game that was allegedly canceled, that's 7, 8, 9. The first 10 games in the series were in West Point, and Army won 7 of those 10 games, to no surprise there, playing at home.
Yeah, and back then, Army was a powerhouse.
Yeah.
It's almost like Alabama now. You schedule that team to come to your place, take the beating and whatever. Or
yeah.
So it's almost like the reverse, Army was powerhouses back then in those earlier days as a college athlete. Army, Navy, all those service academies were the places to go.
Yeah.
We had Heisman Trophy winners come out of academies back in those days. So yeah, and then look like as the years progressed, Syracuse probably was the beginning of the program also. You got to think, Syracuse back in the early 1900s.
Because Syracuse came out in 1890 as a school.
Yes, exactly. So.
And their first game against them was in 1899. So.
Yeah. So. We took our lumps against West Point in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. So the series is in favor of the Orange, but the series is 11-10.
Mm-hmm.
So Syracuse, 11 wins. Army, 10 wins. So this series is a lot closer than a lot of the other ones that we've seen here.
Mm-hmm.
And Syracuse winning the last 3 games. And as I said, since I've been alive, Syracuse is 3-1 against Army.
So the last 3 victories put us over the top.
Yeah. Yeah. So Syracuse needed every single win in the time that I've been on this earth in order to not go into this game behind Army all time.
Yeah. Interesting history, man. Love it. Love it.
So for this game, what is your prediction? What is your score?
Oh, you want to score now?
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, he want to score now. Yeah, that's from a show, folks. When he's like, oh, he want to. Yeah.
I'm going to go 42-17, Syracuse.
I can understand that score. I'm going to say 38-20.
38-20?
Okay. 38-20.
Okay.
I'm going to put these on the feed so y'all can see them. So Isaac's, and we're both picking Syracuse. So Isaac says 42-17 SU. And I will say 38-20 SU.
Yeah, and that might be a little bit,
How many hours will the first quarter be?
That's too long. Well, I don't know. This is Army, so if we don't stop them running, they might have the ball the whole quarter. So
that's very true.
So we gotta be careful with that.
Syracuse better be good at stopping the run in this game.
Exactly, because the clock won't stop.
Yeah, this game's about to be. Let me tell you something.
We might be out early.
Yeah, if the game is 47 minutes long, Syracuse lost tremendously.
Exactly.
Something went terribly wrong for the Orange. If we get out of the first half and the ACC refs haven't made this game 3 hours, then Army had the ball.
They need a replay or something.
Yeah. We need a replay on that run up the middle. So, and we're obviously joking. I appreciate all the officials.
Really?
I appreciate the officials. I'm not joking that it was over an hour in that first quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
That first quarter was that was too much. They threw down 3 flags, and they're like, and then they all looked at each other. They go, "Who threw this flag down?" It's like, "Look in your pocket. Y'all threw the flag down." He's looking at him, going,
got my flag.
"That was Bob. I didn't throw the flag down. That's not my flag." And then he goes and takes his pocket, and he goes, "Jeff, you threw down both your flags. How you throw down both of your yellow flags? You threw one down, then you ran over to it, threw it down again." Jeff was like, "Flag.
And a hat.
Yeah. Flags, hats, tissues. By the way, to the people that were on the road with me today, I apologize. Something really weird happened. I had napkins in like by my center console, and I had my passenger window not open full. It was open part of the way. These napkins were flying out in a perfect angle to the point where I caught one midair, and I was like, "No, you stay." It looked like I was waving the white flag. I'm just driving down the street, and this guy's like, "Why is this man throwing napkins out of his car right now?" So I was like, "I'm just trying to be like the officials, man."
Flag on the play.
Yeah. And I was like, "You passed me on the right side. You're supposed to wait and go to left." Flag. So we gave you our score. We gave you the game. We're excited for it. The game itself will be played this Saturday, September 23rd, inside of the Dome at noon Eastern Time. Army Black Knights at Syracuse Orange. And this game will be a great one. We're going to have some fun no matter what. Tortora and Alford will be with you pregame and postgame, and we'll be with you again next week for another episode of Tortora and Alford on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Catch us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, the Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Twitter is now called X, and I might be the only person that likes it, but as I said, X gonna give it to you. So tune in to Wake Up Call every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archives, hang out with us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube. You can also ask Alexa to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or your Google Home device, and they'll do that for you as well. Search on any one of your favorite podcasting platforms, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. A big time thanks to our incredible partners here at Wake Up Call. Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicerone, Chick-fil-A Clay, Great Lakes Honda City, Ma&Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, 317 at Montgomery Street, the perfect place to go on game day and beyond. They're literally down the road from the Dome, and awesome, incredible food. Their burger of the month is always worth driving out for. And their smash burger, the traditional one, absolutely incredible. Everything that they make when it comes to burgers is the awesome smash burger with the homemade pickles and all. And then they put something else on it. Absolutely incredible food. Go down there and see it in downtown Syracuse. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant. Avicoli's Canine Camp Dog Daycare. PB&J's Lunchbox, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, where you can get the Cuse McMother, my spin on the breakfast sandwich 7 days a week, including on game day. And if you're going to be coming up the road or down the road or wherever you are, head off to Carvel DeWitt and try a DT Dolphin. And on Wednesdays, it's buy one, get one. Lemoyne Dolphins, Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse Bobcats, and the Alfred University Saxons are all exclusive multimedia marketing partners of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Catch it all on WakeUpCallDT.com, including my game day articles. Final word?
Nope. Let's go in this game. Come out healthy.
Final word? No.
Just be healthy, man.
Pull the cord out.
No, yeah. So yeah, just come out healthy and be ready for a gauntlet in the ACC schedule.
Stay healthy. Stay well. Stay blessed. As always, God bless, no stress, do your best. This is Tortora and Alford, and this is Wake Up Call. We'll talk with you soon. And now I'm going to let that music play that we love so much.